Alright, so we're making macaroni cheese, which is epic, and it's going to have tomato and basil in it. So just add. So often macaroni cheese is just macaroni and white sauce. We're going to add a little bit more nutrient to this one by adding a tomato, and we're going to add a bit more flavour by adding basil. Okay, it is packed full of carbohydrates, protein with our cheese, and a bit of good fats with our butter. Yep. Yes, it is salted butter. Salted butter. All right, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get this water boiling, okay, and then I'm going to add my pasta. How many grams? 150 grams, which is actually a lot more than you think. Miss, we'll have the scale set up for you. Make sure they're at 0 and they're on grams. It's about a cup or just over a cup. Yeah, there we go. It's a cup. I'm going to pour that in our water. Yep. Yep, that's the oven-proof dish. Okay. If you are really clever, you could bring your own oven-proof dish with you and cook your food in that and then take it home in the oven-proof dish. Granted, we are cooking at the end of the day, so you'll be taking home a hot oven-proof dish. So if you've got a way to take home a hot dish, then go for it, but otherwise bring a plastic container to scoop it out. I'm just dripping. Oh, hot. Why aren't my hands on? Do this. Okay. Right, so we've measured out, we've popped our mixer. Now we're going to use a wooden spoon. It's another utensil that you can just give that a stir. You need to give it a stir, and you'll notice that your water kind of goes a bit opaque because that's the starch. So your pasta has starch in it, and that's going to come out in the water. And so your water will no longer be clear. But give it a stir, it will stick to the bottom. Okay, so that initially when it gets wet, it gets sticky and it will stick to the bottom of your pan. So give it a stir so that it can cook all the way through. So while we're waiting for our pasta, I'm going to cut up my tomato. When we cut a tomato, I'm going to move this stuff so people can see. Yep. Huh? Yeah, mushroom heads. I know what you're talking about now. Yeah, so you go through the top, so hold it from the top, go through that little bit, and then I just keep my hands on top and I cut a little V out of the top there so I can get rid of that bit. No one wants to eat that sucker, okay? That tastes bad, all right? So you don't want that bit. Just chop it out into there. Now, this is where we come in with the mushroom head. So you've got to do kind of a claw, okay? I cut through like that, so it's got 2 pieces. If it's a bigger tomato, I might do 3 slices like that. And then I go from the top down. So you keep your hands above, cutting through the tomato. Then you turn it to get a good dice, and slice this way. Now another way to do this for your tomato, instead of this way, so you could dice it like that, or you could slice it just like this. And then you can position that on top. It's up to you how you like. So if you would much prefer to have these little tiny pieces that you don't taste much, then that's fine. But if you like tomato, then you can use the tomato to decorate the top of your food. Okay, and you can so I'm going to show you both ways. Okay, so it's just nicely sliced, nice and even. Try and keep them nice and thin because you don't want to have to like rip through a big chunky piece of tomato. It also goes further. Okay. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is make our white sauce. I'm going to turn on the pan to about a medium heat. Oh, so hot. Right, so we've got our butter, which we're going to melt. My pin's done. Okay. So I'm just going to put that aside. While I'm waiting for my butter to melt, I'm going to pull the leaves off my basil because we don't want all the stalks, we just want the leaves. just going to push it all together and just dice it up. You could actually use a bigger knife. Because when you've got a bigger knife, like this, you can just push your hand on the front and you can chop it up with this. Keeping your fingers out of the way. By chopping up the basil, you're releasing some of that flavour as well. So whole basil leaves, you won't release the flavour into the food. You hear my butter starting to sizzle? Okay, so just going to give it a stir. You do not want to burn your butter. This is starting to bubble now, so I'm going to give that another bit of a stir. You could also, if you wanted to, put chopped up onion in here. So while that's cooking, and that will cook the onion, but it will also give you a bit of an oniony flavour if you like onion. I do. I would normally put onion in mine. Okay, so I'm going to take that off before it's fully melted. Can you see? It's almost melted. I've still got a piece. Oh, just a second. I haven't got the screen on for you. Do that. Turn off that. Right, so now that my butter's melted, I'm just going to bring it now in your cupboards, your drawers. Have this little guy, which is a heat. Please never ever place your hot pans onto one of these cutting boards because they melt. Okay, so you don't want to melt them. I'm just going to move my basil out of the way and I'm just going to pop that there. We're going to return it to the heat, but first I'm going to add how much am I adding of the flour?
1 tablespoon.
I thought so. HDMI, let's go. Alright, 1 tablespoon. There we go. Okay, so we're going to add 1 tablespoon. Now what we're making is a roux. It's spelled R-O-U-X. Okay, and it's a French word for sauce. Okay, so we're going to make a roux. So we're going to mix it in to things. So you've got a kind of a thicker level of butter there now. We're going to add that back, I think, and we're going to measure out our cup of milk. And we're going to slowly add that to our mixture with, I don't have one. Why I'm so hot today. Right, so we're going to put this back on the heat and we're going to slowly drizzle our milk in. Okay, we want to do it slowly because we don't want lumps. Okay, we're just going to drizzle our milk. Keep stirring. Okay, you do not want to leave your sauce alone at this point. Okay, you want to make sure that it has no lumps and that it doesn't stick to the bottom. So you don't want it too high. About medium to 3/4 heat. So not quite the highest heat. This is boiling away nicely now too. Just add another spatula out for that. That needs to cook for about 10 minutes until it is al dente. So that means it's not soggy, but it's not hard to eat. Okay, you don't want to cook it completely all the way because we're going to stick this in the oven, which I need to turn on. So turn it on to 180 degrees. And it's going to absorb some of your sauce into the pasta, which you want it to do. So in the oven, it will actually cook a little bit more. Now, as I stir on the heat, what's happening is the gluten in the flour is separating out, and it's creating long strands, which is actually going to make a thickening sauce. So the actual gluten moves out into the. You can't actually. You can use corn flour too, so you can making it go thicker, and you end up with this beautiful, thick, gorgeous sauce. I'm going to put about half of this cheese into our sauce. So it's boiling now, so I'm stopping that. I'm going to put about half of that cheese in there, and we're going to let that dissolve. Now we have this gorgeous, delicious, creamy. I'm going to turn it right. Now I'm going to use the rest of the cheese. We don't want it to stick, so we need to keep it moving until all that cheese, look how gorgeous that is. Okay? Really nice, thick. Also, it will thicken up more once it's on pasta. Just got to wait for our pasta. When the pasta is done, you are going to strain it into our colander. While we're waiting, washing up starch. Make sure you keep your area nice and clean. I'm going to add a little bit of salt. Just a little bit, and a little bit of pepper. A bit of flavour. I usually forget to add the salt and pepper. I like putting it on top of my food. Still not hot. You need to make sure you're washing up in water that is hot enough for you to put your hand in. Just. You don't want it to be too hot, but you want it to be reasonably cool. Be able to wash up but still get the germs off. We're almost here. Faster. And make sure it's not sticky. I hate doing this. Such a waste of water. There we go. Now it's hot. I'm going to drain it with the colander. So I'm actually going to take a piece out. Test it. Okay, so that's about right. Not fully cooked. A little tiny bit undercooked. I'm just going to take it over to the sink over here. It's a really nice, easy meal to cook. It doesn't take very long. And you can cook larger quantities. You can double this quantity and it will cook just as nicely. So you can multiply everything and double it by 2, and you'll end up with twice the mix, and you can feed a bigger mess. Like this would probably give 4 people lunch, but probably not dinner. So I would probably double it if you're feeding a family this for dinner. It makes a really lovely side dish. If you're having steak or chicken, you can actually serve this up as a side dish as well. So that's another option for macaroni and cheese. It has lots of potential. Now I'm going to mix in the basil into that. And I'm also going to put the chopped up tomato in my sauce. It's just showing some varieties, and then that can all go into here. Yep, I'm going to use that. Can't miss any of this yumminess. Get it all out and mix it through. Okay. Flatten the top out, and you can place this on. So you can just make it pretty. With some tomato. You maybe sprinkle a little bit more basil on it. And how much breadcrumb am I using? Half a cup, that's a lot of breadcrumbs.
And if you also want it to go in.
Yes. Half a cup. I don't think I'm using half a cup. You want to just make sure that you cover the top, okay? Maybe a quarter of a cup. So you probably adjust that a bit. I don't think half a cup is too much. And on top of that, we're going to sprinkle some of the parmesan. We got parmesan. You could actually mix the parmesan in with your breadcrumbs as well. They're shavings. Yeah, you can. It doesn't matter which you do. So you could use grated. You could do. These are shavings. Just going to put a tiny bit of breadcrumb on top of them, and then I'm going to use a cheddar on top. So this is super cheesy and delicious. And that goes in the oven. How long do we cook it for, guys? 15 minutes. Until it goes brown. So you just need to melt the cheese, let it cook a tiny little bit more, and you have serious yum. Okay, so there's the final product, which you can then serve up to.